Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of our NASCAR iRacing career mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. A big episode coming your way today. Many things to dive into. We are here, Long Beach, just a Cup Series coming at you today, but as well our IndyCar debut. You remember when I told you at the beginning of the season, we are making our debut in the IndyCar series in this episode, which is very exciting times ahead. We come into today with a sprint race here from Long Beach, as well as the main race. Jimmie Johnson is back. Not only is he doing the IndyCar race like myself, he is actually going to compete in a 5th Hendrick Motorsports number 25 car here in today's episode at Long Beach in a Cup Series car, as well in the sprint race and the main race both. He won't have actually a paint scheme in the sprint race, but you'll notice his paint scheme in the main race, so we'll see how he is able to do here. But this weekend here, a big weekend for NASCAR on a street circuit for the first time in Cup Series history, and I was very excited for it. Unfortunately, my qualifying lap here in the sprint race didn't start so well here, and you have 2 laps on these road courses to make a qualifying effort, but I ended up only taking my first lap. I just wasn't happy with the car, and I couldn't really get any momentum going my way, so I actually crossed the line and we qualified for the sprint race 31st place. It was not looking so good to start today's episode, coming off of New Hampshire, where we pretty much choked away an opportunity to get our first career victory. But what a spectacle here with the NASCAR Cup Series on the street circuit here in Long Beach now, as you got the little fountain section, you got a beautiful scenery around with all the large buildings, of course, and very exciting times ahead as we were ready to get this sprint race underway, with Denny Hamlin starting up on the front row alongside his teammate of Kyle Busch. We were lights out and we were underway in the sprint race here from Long Beach. As you guys know, in these sprint races, they come along with every road course on the schedule this season. Only the top 10 get points in the sprint race. The winner of the sprint race gets 15, second place 9th, all the way through down to 10th place, who only gets 1 point. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch are continuing to be side by side here through the first few corners, and of course you want to settle out into single file just like this here as you come through this fountain section. Now being too wide, very sketchy here, as you can see. Actually a lot of drivers going too wide and making some contact, and just an unbelievable slow rate of speed going through this section of track. We were down to nearly 15 miles per hour. All about really just surviving on these opening moments here. And what I found out about this street course here in Long Beach is, with a NASCAR stock car specifically, this thing is just a handful to drive. The track is rough, of course, and the car, in reality, the stock car sucks on this track. I was struggling, hanging on for dear life all episode, and you're going to see that over the course of this video here. Now I got past that 41 of Cole Custer. Now to the left-hand side of that 17 of Chris Buescher, we will get clear of the Rush Fenway driver there and dive down into the next right-hander here. A very fun track to drive, though, I must say. Even though the car sucks, it is a lot of fun driving a stock car around this circuit. But Denny Hamlin is going to lead the way on these opening laps. Hamlin, of course, has a lot of work to do if he wants to get himself back up into this championship battle. But right now, Joey Logano comes well comfortably ahead of second place in points. Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, etc. James Davison here. So it's going to need to be a bit of a rough day and an exceptional day for a driver like Kyle Busch to be able to close in on Logano here. As we come through to the end of this first lap, you can already see some cars with damage. This road course really presents getting the elbows out, getting physical with one another if you want to make some headway. This is going to be an interesting race to see how it pans out over the course of the main race, specifically after the sprint race, because like I said, this track really embraces getting physical with one another. In a stock car, I'm going to lunge one up the inside of my track house teammate and veteran of Daniel Suarez there, but I stay in behind him here as we continue to try and fight back though up the inside. Just a few moments later here now, was very close to that wall on the left side, very close to the car on my right side, but we get clear of that good Sam Chevrolet Camaro piloted by Daniel Suarez there. Now as we were all over the back of the 2311 Racing, driver of the 96 of Brandon Jones, who's not had a great start, some damage to his car. I'm going to launch one up the inside of Brandon Jones and Michael Cozy Jr., fellow rookie there. A bit of a bold move, but we make it work here now as he's still at my left hand side, as we're going to be wheel to wheel, fender to fender through this tight sweeping left-hander into the very tough braking zone and very tight right-hander here. The final corner, Elliott actually gets into the wall on the exit of the corner just as I'm passing him. Don't think I forced him into the wall, but nonetheless he still runs into it here. Now speaking of running into things, I run into the back of Tyler Reddick here a few moments later, and I would actually be able to get past him, but unfortunately I've done damage to my front bumper, and that was simply just an effect of a checkup that you could see he was behind like a group of 5 cars, and they all just stacked up, and unfortunately I drove into the back of him. There you see Jimmie Johnson here as I'm trying to make a pass on the 53 of James Davison, and you can see embracing the physicality. I just plow my way through pretty much the 53 of Davison, and here is Jimmie Johnson. They hadn't even had the car wrapped yet here for that 25 of Jimmie Johnson, but they would in time for the main race. So I'm going to look up the right-hand side of the 7-time NASCAR Cup Series champion that makes his re-debut in the Cup Series the same weekend that IndyCar, of course, has a doubleheader. It just worked out with his timing, but it was a very late coming together of a plan, and that's why, of course, you can see they hadn't even got a sponsor and the car wrap on the car yet. Now, as we continue to try and work our way forward, only the top 10 get points. We continue to get physical. McDowell made a mistake. Gibbs left the door open. I just fight my way through, and we move up another position here now as we come through to 8 laps to go in the sprint race. We are all by ourselves here. We're outside of the top 10, so we have some work to do, but we have a long way to go. Obviously, you can see the gap between myself and 9th place as we head down into the right hand. There we go, a little bit too deep, and we're going to go plowing into the barrier and into the concrete wall, and no caution is going to fly, but that doesn't matter because we've completely KO'd the car. We're still getting hit by Bubba Wallace, who comes through there. A few other drivers hit us as well. The rear bumper is completely off the car at this point, and we're going to be out of the sprint race because of just a simple miscalculation into the braking zone. A very easy corner. This track has a lot of easy corners that you can just overshoot. I tried to make an extra lap and I was hanging on for dear life, so I ended up bringing it into the pit lane, and we had to retire the car after what was looking very promising, a promising start to the weekend here. But these sprint races have not treated us well at these road courses this season, and unfortunately we were out of the sprint race. Denny Hamlin would actually win here in the sprint race at Long Beach over Kyle Busch. The top 10 you could see coming through there. Logano would end up P6, so Kyle Busch gained some points right there on Joey Logano. Of course, he's going to need some more though if he really wants to close that point gap here today. As you see the rest of the top 10 there as it finally corrected itself. Chase Briscoe was the final car in the top 10. So the same day, we were ready to make our IndyCar debut. We, got out of the Cup car and reset our focus here. And unfortunately, we had to start at the back of the grid here at Long Beach for the IndyCar race due to the fact that I missed qualifying, actually, preparing for the sprint race and whatnot. So we were now getting ready to make our IndyCar debut. Unfortunately, like I said, at the back of the grid. So wasn't expecting the best finish in the world as we were underway for our IndyCar debut. Roman Grosjean leads the way there. The former Haas F1 driver moves over to IndyCar in 2021 and now still in 2022 as they head down into turn 1, a heavy braking zone for that 90-degree left-hander. Up and over nearly there goes Alexander Rossi. A massive, a violent accident there for the American. Now is no caution yet, but yes, the caution now does fly. I was fortunately at the back of the grid, so I had an opportunity to bail out. The caution, it flies, and wow, what a debut to IndyCar for myself. You see it right there. Rossi just drives into the back of the car head. Airborne he goes, typical IndyCar fashion, and oh my goodness, that could have been a lot worse than what it actually was. So the caution was out. We would of course get back to racing here with only 5 laps remaining in this race. I didn't do the longest race in the world here for the IndyCar series. Now as Roman Grosjean though would lead the field back to the green flag here down into turn 1. Fortunately this time around everybody gets through into turn 1 and 2 and whatnot without any major issues in contact and whatnot. No cars going airborne, thank goodness, this time around. But what a violent way to start my IndyCar career. Thank goodness I was not a part of the chaos in the background. There is more chaos. Jimmie Johnson there just in front of us as I'm trying to settle in and avoid the chaos basically here. And unfortunately for this IndyCar race specifically, I forgot to turn damage off. So cars, they might have made some damage with some contact, but then it would actually fix itself moments later there. Unfortunately, simply just because I forgot to turn that off here. Now as I'm going to make an aggressive move to the right side of Jimmie Johnson there, and we will make a pass on JJ. We just raced with him in the NASCAR side here in the Cup Series. In the sprint race, we're racing with him again. We'll be racing with him another time in the main race as well here. Now as I was starting to get the elbows out, get a little bit aggressive, of course, a completely different style of racing when we come here to Long Beach in an IndyCar. Roman Grosjean dominating this race at this point as he slams into the barrier after missing the braking zone, and now we can call him Roman not leading the race anymore. Grosjean out of the Long Beach GP out of nowhere while leading the race. Talk about choking away your first IndyCar victory. No caution, just a local caution. They would actually get it cleaned up. So we would continue on our way here, and you can see how many cars are right here together. I'm doing my best to try and gain positions, but I had already kind of burned up my rear tires quite a bit here, but I did make a pass right there on Jack Harvey. We continue right to the final lap actually of this race. Dalton Kellett just in front of myself, but unfortunately we're only about P17 or so here on this final lap of this this race here as we head into this final sector, which has been a decent IndyCar debut. Yellow flags flying again, and you see a car stopped on the left that looked like, I believe, Takuma Sato, I believe there, and he is going to be out of the Long Beach GP on the final lap. I'm going to make a very aggressive move into the final corner, wheel banging actually on Kellett. That might have been a little bit too much, but surprisingly, we do not get any penalties thrown at us post-race. We're going to come through to cross the line in our IndyCar debut to finish in the 16th position, which isn't terrible considering we had to start at the back. Here's another look at what happened to Takuma Sato on the final lap of the GP. Same situation as Roman Grosjean, missed the braking zone, and well, also actually exactly what I did in the NASCAR sprint race actually, and we had to now come to Sunday, the following day, and do qualifying for the main NASCAR Cup Series event here at Long Beach. Following my mistake in the sprint race, I was a little bit concerned for this corner right here, and well, guess what? I did the exact same thing. I slam into the barrier, and that puts us at the back of the starting grid. I just put it in the barrier in the same spot as yesterday. I am so sorry. This episode so far has had its ups and downs. You hear me over the radio. I have no one other to blame than myself. It was all me right there, just a braking zone mishap again. And the 17 of Chris Buescher also had his own issues there in qualifying. His lap was invalidated after slamming into the barrier as well. That was the corner before. And now, myself and Buescher, we line up at the back of the grid as Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick make up the front row as we were ready to go lights out and underway from Long Beach here in the NASCAR Cup Series for the first ever street course season race here in the NASCAR Cup Series. It's a great start for Harvick. You notice his paint scheme did not load out a couple drivers that for some reason the paint schemes wouldn't load for in this episode, unfortunately, but thankfully it was just a few as they dive down into turn one. Harvick is going to be clear just about a Kyle Busch. Yes, he is. Kyle Busch drifts back down into second place. Briscoe in the wall, and so is the point leader of Joey Logano, who was 3 wide into turn one. Damage to the right side of that number 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford. Now contact with the 19 of Christopher Bell, and there's damage to both sides of the point leader of Joey Logano. That car is already, you can tell, not going to be in the best condition for driving here throughout the rest of this GP. Now as we continue on, you see in the background the 53 of James Davison for Rick Ware Racing has gone head on into the concrete barrier. His front bumper completely gone, and no caution's gonna fly. We're gonna keep it green flag racing. Harvick, Kyle Busch, Chase Briscoe, Cindric, and Brad Keselowski, your top 5 here, 4 Fords and 1 Toyota. William Byron, Tyler Reddick, Blaney down through Christopher Bell and Logano as well towards the bottom part of the top 10. Hamlin into the outside barrier there as he was trying to pass his teammate, or not his teammate, but his employee, Bubba Wallace, actually here through the right-hander. And now Kyle Larson's going to try and go around the long way of this DoorDash Toyota Camry of Bubba Wallace, and sure enough, pass complete. Kyle Larson moves up the position. As you can see, everybody just getting those elbows out, getting physical. That's what these opening laps here in Long Beach and the whole race in general is all about. There you see the replay of what happened to James Davison. LaJoie hit the barrier, and then Davison just wrong place, wrong time, bounces into LaJoie, who bounces off the wall, and then of course Davison bounces into the concrete barrier himself at the end of lap 1. There you see Kyle Busch. He put a bunch of pressure on Kevin Harvick and would go the long way around in turn 1 and pass Kevin Harvick down into this fountain area here. What a beautiful scenery at Long Beach with NASCAR stock cars through this fountain area. I believe that's going to be the thumbnail of this video, by the way. It's going to look fantastic, I hope, at least here now. But we continue on our own. We actually got past Jimmie Johnson. You can see Jimmie Johnson right there on that great clips number 25 just behind us here. His only race probably in the rest of his career here in the NASCAR side of things now. But you never know. Never say never. Jimmie Johnson could come back at some point as we continue, though, on our way. 14 laps to go. We can confirm that we do have to make a pit stop before this race comes to a close. That did limit the fuel, and we're going to limit the fuel for every car in the coming episodes, so that way maybe in stage 3 we have to either make a green flag pit stop or a pit stop under yellow. Getting past that 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., we were on a just the fly right now. We were passing the 16 of Justin Haley as well, and we were closing in on the top 20 pretty quick. After starting at the back of the grid, up the inside of the 2311 driver, Brandon Jones, side by side with that guy. He has a lot of damage there on both right front and left front, I believe there. It's not been a great start to this day for Jones, as he would actually continue the fight, though. He was not going to make it easy for myself here. I'm slipping and sliding around. It's a NASCAR stock car around a street course. Of course, this thing is just a handful to drive, but I'm going to now try and make a lunge up the inside into the braking zone on the final turn, but I'm sideways on the exit of the corner. We're going to be dead even with that 96 of Brandon Jones, but he is able to get the power down better than myself, so I actually have to slip in behind that 2311 Menards Toyota Camry. Jones had such a great start to the season, won a couple stages to start the season, but hasn't been great since then, has been slowly slipping down the order in the points now as I continue to scrap it out with this 96. Look at the defensive line he decides to take into the right-hander, so it wasn't until the end of this lap, approaching about 10 laps to go or so in this race, where the opportunity presents itself again on the braking zone. This time I finally get through there. I kind of roughed up that 96 a little bit, but I never ran into him, kept it clean as possible, and now up the position we go as we try to run down next at number 20 of David Schildhaus, who's battling with his teammate of Cody Ware. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick continue to run 1-2, but Kyle Busch is running away. And Joey Logano, the point leader, has now fallen outside of the top 10 in this race here in Long Beach. So Kyle Busch right now gaining a good chunk of points on Joey Logano, which could be a huge difference at the end of this episode. I said all it takes is one bad race for Logano to bring Kyle Busch or somebody else back into this championship battle here now as we close in towards the halfway point of the season. And there's so many variables here on the schedule coming this season still, so you cannot predict what's going to happen. 9 laps to go. Everybody getting ready to come into the pit lane. I lunge one up the inside. It showed us right into the left or right side of his car with my left side, and we gain one more spot as, like I said, literally everybody pitted on the same lap. We come in here and we're going to put 4 tires on the car as well as just completely fill it up with fuel. The fuel situation is close because you see we've done 8 laps and we're going to have 8 laps to go, and we basically stretched the fuel till we had about a lap and a half of fuel left in the car, I'm pretty sure. So it was close, but we should be able to make it comfortably, especially after filling it up. We easily get in front of the 51 of Cody Ware, the 20 of Schildhaus. We come out behind Jay Cook, and actually we're going to run into the back of Jay Cook here on the warming up the tires lap here. As you can see, he's behind a bunch of drivers and there is a bunch of stack ups. So now we make it to the right hand side of that 31 Taco Bell Kaulig Chevrolet Camaro. We thought we might be driving that 31 Kaulig Camaro coming into the season, but obviously not the case. Here we are with Trackhouse Racing now around the outside of that 48 of Alex Bowman. We've had no shortage of run-ins with Alex Bowman when it comes to road course racing, but fortunately today we will not add that to the list. Now a move up the inside of Ty Gibbs here in the final turn. That one was one of the cleanest passes I think I've made actually in the final turn all day long. Now as I'm going to go up the inside of Ty Gibbs' boss, Denny Hamlin, and we got all the 2311 drivers and then their boss just running in a very close vicinity of one another. So I was a little bit trying to be a little bit careful with how I was racing these guys here now, but I get past Hamlin, and now we run down the 23 of Bubba Wallace here, coming into now just the final 6 laps of this race. I'm going to lunge one up the inside of Bubba a little bit too far back. I get into his quarter panel. He goes into the barrier head on. That was a very aggressive late move from myself. I probably shouldn't have done that, and here comes Hamlin now, who's putting pressure on myself. No caution's going to fly for Bubba Wallace. Gibbs now goes around Hamlin, and here comes Ty Gibbs, going to do a power move and go around the left-hand side of myself, and I'm surrounded by 2311 and their boss after just junking one of their drivers. Hamlin tries to lunge one up the inside down into turn 1. I'm a little bit concerned by who I'm surrounded by right now because obviously I was in the wrong on that. I made a way too late of a move on Bubba Wallace. Now Ty Gibbs takes an extremely defensive line. I'm getting a little bit aggravated with him. I drive into the back of Ty Gibbs. That one wasn't even on purpose. He was just so slow into the apex, and now look at it again. He takes a hugely defensive line. He locks up. I run into the back of him. I'm going to punt him out of the way. Into the barrier goes the 45, and now I'm sure their employer, Denny Hamlin, is probably fuming knowing the bill that I have just put on 2311 to repair the damages on Monday as we head down into the braking zone. Logano just in front, Hamlin just behind. I'm now running for my life at this point. I see Hamlin coming. I said, nope, I'm getting out of here as quick as I can because I know I'm in the wrong on both incidents at this point here now as Kyle Busch continues to lead over a trailing Kevin Harvick, who's having a season best result so far here in Long Beach. Now 4 laps to go and nearly plow into the wall with 4 to go into turn 1. The way this road course is, you really got to get physical. I said it at the beginning of the episode, at least with the stock cars you do, and I've certainly lived up to that benchmark. I feel like today here so far. 3 laps ago we were running down Joey Logano. Here's Hamlin's behind us. He's going to make a deep lunge into turn 1, nearly make some contact. I'm sure Denny Hamlin is getting a little bit fed up with myself at this point now, and I'm not sure if he's going to cut us any more breaks from this point on here, especially in these closing moments now. 2 laps to go to the right side of Joey Logano here. Surprisingly, we haven't had a single full course yellow all day long here. I think this might be the first race of the season where we haven't had that actually happen. Now we get clear of Logano final lap underway. Kyle Busch, an unbelievably dominant performance here. Now he's 6 seconds ahead of Kevin Harvick. Jeff Fabiano takes a very defensive line as well down into turn 1. We've got a bunch of rookies right here with myself, with Fabiano here, as well as Michael Cozy Jr. here. Fabiano to the left, Cozy to the right, defensive line into the right-hander now as I'm going to try and get the undercut, but I actually slam into the wall, but too much of an undercut, and I know I damaged the car quite a bit right there. Here comes Joey Logano. He's going to go sweeping past on the right-hand side. Here comes Denny Hamlin as well. I'm going to try and get defensive on Hamlin as we head down into the braking zone. Hamlin says, I'm done cutting brakes. He's going to turn us, dump us into the corner. We're going to crash together, and unbelievable scenes here on the final lap. Hamlin stops. We get the car back rolling in dramatic fashion here. I am just hanging on for dear life, bringing it home at this point now as we're going to do a whole Tokyo drift here through these final few corners into the final braking zone. Kyle Busch wins in Long Beach over Kevin Harvick, and we're going to just bring it home in top 20 somehow, but I'm sure the tempers are boiling right now for Denny Hamlin and the rest of 23XI Racing, other than Brandon Jones, as I was in the wrong so many points in this race with getting a little bit too aggressive. The car was just completely junked at this point as we cross the line. You got to get physical here in Long Beach, but obviously I think I got a little bit too physical. Denny Hamlin obviously, kind of ended my physicality at the end of the day and decided to take me out there, but I don't even blame him at this point there. That was all on me, and we got to clean it up. But in the next one, we go to Martinsville Speedway, a short track. There could be a lot of dumps and runs there, maybe headed my way. We'll have to wait and see. There you see Kyle Busch with the win and beating Logano, is now only 11 points behind Logano. We're down there in 13th in the standing, so a little bit of work to do for us, but you can see the rest of it there. If you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. We head to Martinsville in the next one, where who knows what's going to happen there at the short track at the Paperclip. There could be a lot of tempers boiling there. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, everybody.